I thought we were just going to celebrate my sister's engagement. It was supposed to be a night of music, laughter, and family. My daughter Zaya wore her favorite blue dress with little sunflowers on it. I curled her hair and added a bow. She picked out herself. My husband Kieran had on that navy suit. He only wears 4 special occasions. The one he knows I love. We looked like a happy family walking into that house. And for a moment, we were. But just as Maylis was about to cut the cake, Kieran leaned close to me. His voice was low and sharp. "Take Zaya and go to the car. Now." My heart stopped. I looked at him. He didn't blink. "What's wrong?" I whispered, my stomach tightening. He didn't look at me when he answered. "I'll tell you on the way home." That was it. No explanation. No time to ask more. So I took my daughter by the hand and walked out of my sister's engagement party, feeling like something had shattered around me and I couldn't even see the pieces yet. As we drove in silence, I watched Kieran's jaw clench tight, his eyes fixed on the road. I kept glancing at Zaya in the back seat, humming to herself, blissfully unaware. And then, before we reached the house, he said it. "Someone at that party knows who she really is. My name is Allah. I'm a mother, a sister, and a wife." Most days I live in that balance between calm and chaos that motherhood teaches you to master. My daughter Zaya is 7. She has this calm, thoughtful way about her, like she knows more than she lets on. She's shy around strangers, but when she feels safe, she's all heart-singing little songs she makes up on the spot. Collecting rocks she swears are magic, always humming when she draws. Kieran, my husband, is the grounded one. He works in logistics, always planning ahead, always measuring the risks, the outcomes, the variables. I used to joke that he'd turn a pancake breakfast into a military operation if I let him. But he's a good man, steady, loyal, thoughtful in ways he doesn't always show. That Saturday felt like the first good day in a long time. The last few years hadn't been easy. We struggled to become parents for years. The adoption process nearly broke us. There were interviews, home inspections, rejections. We lost 2 matches before we got the call about Zaya. It was a private agency, urgent placement, no family contact. The papers were signed in less than a week. From the moment I held her, I knew she was mine. I never looked back. I never asked questions that didn't need answers. Now here we were, years later, driving to my sister Maylis's engagement party. My baby sister, the free spirit of the family, finally getting married. She was engaged to a guy named Tavikind, soft-spoken, a little awkward, but clearly in love with her. The party was being held at our childhood home, the big white farmhouse in Franklin, Tennessee. Our mother, Rosa, still lived there. She'd redone the porch with lights and hanging plants, baked 4 cakes herself, and invited what felt like half the town. Zaya sat in the back seat, legs swinging, singing to herself. She had a yellow bow in her hair and a small stuffed rabbit clutched in one hand. Her energy was light. She didn't know how rare that was. I glanced in the mirror and smiled at her. She caught my eyes and smiled back, missing one of her front teeth. Kieran was quiet next to me. Too quiet. His hands were on the wheel, fingers tapping in a rhythm that didn't match the music playing on the radio. I noticed the crease between his eyebrows, the one that only shows up when something's on his mind. I asked if he was okay. He gave a short nod and said, "Yeah, just work stuff." I didn't push. I figured it would pass once we got to the party. When we pulled into the gravel driveway, the house looked like something out of a storybook. String lights draped across the porch. Laughter floated out from the backyard. Smell of grilled peaches and rosemary chicken wrapped around us as we stepped out of the car. My mom met us at the front door in her signature red apron face, flushed from cooking, arms open wide. She kissed Zaya's forehead. "There's my sunflower," she said. Zaya giggled and twirled. I hugged my mother tightly. For a few seconds, everything felt right. Inside, people were everywhere. My cousins, aunts, old neighbors from down the road. The band played soft jazz in the corner. Kids ran barefoot across the grass. Zaya clung to my hand at first, nervous around the crowd. But when she saw the table with glitter markers and crafts, she darted over. I watched her sit with two other little girls and start drawing without hesitation. Kyron stayed close. He greeted people, smiled politely, but didn't stray far from me. I chalked it up to him being tired. But I should have known something was bothering him. He kept scanning the crowd, not just looking around, but watching people, carefully, like he was trying to find someone, or avoid someone. Maylis appeared in a flowy lavender dress and a crown of daisies. She squealed when she saw me, pulling me into a hug that nearly knocked me over. "I can't believe you're here. You look amazing. Zaya looks like a little fairy. Where's Chiron? He better be nice to me today, or I'll write him out of my vows." I laughed and waved Chiron over. He gave her a quick hug, smiled for a picture. But his smile didn't quite reach his eyes. We spent the next hour moving through the crowd. I introduced Zaya to people I hadn't seen in years. We took pictures by the arbor Maylis had built from. Driftwood. We danced. We ate cake. For a while, it felt like everything was exactly as it should be. And then I saw her, an older woman, standing by the patio edge near the drinks. Silver gray hair in a tight bun, a face I didn't recognize. She wasn't smiling. Her eyes were fixed on Zaya. I watched her for a few seconds, feeling that old instinct rise in me. Something was off. But before I could say anything, Chiron stepped closer to me, jaw tight, his eyes on the same woman. I turned to him. "Do you know her?" He didn't answer. Just shook his head slowly, barely moving. It didn't feel like just a party anymore. Something had shifted, and I had no idea how fast our lives were about to change. The music played on soft and sweet, but I barely heard it anymore. My eyes stayed on the woman near the patio. She wasn't talking to anyone. She stood alone, her arms folded across her chest, gaze sharp and unmoving. Zaya sat just a few feet away at the kids' table, coloring a paper crown. The woman wasn't just looking in her direction. She was staring directly at her. I nudged Chiron. "Who is that?" "She's not with the family." He didn't answer right away. He glanced at the woman again, then down at the ground, his expression tightening in a way that made my stomach turn. "I'm not sure," he finally said. I stepped toward the kids' table, pretending to fix Zaya's bow. The woman didn't blink. Her eyes met mine for a second, cold, measured. I smiled politely. She didn't return it. Instead, she walked slowly over to where Zaya sat. My heart kicked hard in my chest. Zaya looked up as the woman approached. She was mid-sentence in a story she was telling the other kids, completely unaware of the tension crawling up my spine. The woman leaned down, her voice barely above a whisper. "You haven't changed much," she said. I was standing close enough to hear it. Zaya froze. She looked confused, like she was trying to remember if she was supposed to know this person. The other kids just kept coloring. I stepped forward and placed my hand gently on Zaya's shoulder. "Hi, can I help you with something?" The woman stood up slowly. Her mouth twitched, like she wanted to say more but thought better of it. "She's a beautiful child," she said. Then she turned and walked away, disappearing into the house. Zaya looked up at me. "Do I know her?" "No, baby," I said quickly. "Come sit with me and Daddy for a little while." I found Chiron near the drink table. He saw my face and immediately stepped toward me. "She spoke to her," I said quietly. "She knew her. She said she hadn't changed." Chiron didn't say a word. His eyes scanned the yard, then landed on the house. "Take Zaya," he said. "Go to the car. Now." "Chiron, what's going on?" "I'll explain on the way home, please, Allah. Just do it." The urgency in his voice silenced any argument. I scooped Zaya up, held her tight against my side, and walked out of the backyard. My mother called out as we passed the porch, "Leaving already." I waved without answering. Cay clutched her stuffed rabbit and rested her head on my shoulder as we walked down the driveway. I could feel her heartbeat through my arm. She wasn't scared, just sleepy. But I was terrified. I buckled her into the car and sat with her while Kyron stayed behind. I watched the front door, expecting him to walk out at any moment. Minutes passed. The sun had started to dip below the trees when he finally came out. He wasn't rushing. His walk was steady, but his face was pale. He opened the driver's door, started the engine, and didn't say a word. I didn't push yet. I just turned to check on Zaya, who had drifted off, hugging her rabbit like it was the only solid thing in the world. We drove in silence for almost 20 minutes. The quiet inside the car felt loud, like a pressure building between us. I stared out the window every few seconds, catching Kyron in my peripheral vision. His jaw was tight. His hands were white-knuckled on the wheel. I finally broke the silence. "Kyron, tell me what's going on." He didn't look at me. He waited another long stretch before he spoke. "Someone at that party knows who Zaya really is." His voice was steady, but I felt the panic rising in my chest. "What are you talking about?" I asked. "She's our daughter." "She is," he said quickly. "She's ours. But that woman, the one you saw, she wasn't just a guest." He paused and looked at me, eyes heavy. "She's connected to her. I think she's her biological grandmother." I stared at him, stunned. I couldn't process what he was saying. "How would she even know who Zaya is?" "I don't know." He said that adoption was supposed to be sealed, confidential. You remember how fast it happened? Emergency placement. No identifying details were supposed to be shared. I remembered. You were told the biological parents wanted no contact, that the child's safety required distance. We were assured no one would be able to find her. I clung to that reassurance in the early months when I woke up at night wondering if someone might show up and try to take her back. Now it felt like that fear had found us again. "Did she say something to you?" I asked. Kyra nodded. "She asked if that was our daughter." I told her yes. She looked at me and said, "She has her mother's eyes." Then she smiled. Not like someone being kind. Like someone who knew something I didn't. I pressed my hand to my chest. "What does she want?" "I don't know yet," he said. But I couldn't let her keep talking to Zaya. I couldn't risk her saying something we'd never be able to take back. My mind spiraled through every possibility. What if she tried to contact us again? What if she showed up at school? What if she told Zaya something that would confuse her, frighten her, change the way she saw herself? In the rearview mirror, I saw Zaya's sleeping face. Peaceful, unbothered. Protected for now, I turned back to Chiron. "So what do we do?" His voice was low and certain. "We find out exactly who that woman is, okay? And we make sure she stays away." The next morning, I woke up with a knot in my chest that hadn't loosened all night. Chiron had barely spoken after we got home. We checked on Zaya together. She had fallen asleep in her clothes, rabbit still tucked under one arm, hair a little messy from the car ride. I kissed her forehead and pulled the blanket up to her chin. In the kitchen, Chiron was already on his laptop. He had coffee in one hand and a notepad filled with names and numbers in front of him. "I didn't sleep," said without looking up. "I need to figure out who she is." I sat across from him. "You said she might be Zaya's biological grandmother." "I didn't want to say too much in the car," he said, "but I recognized her. I didn't put it together until I saw her face again last night." "You've seen her before?" He nodded. "When we were going through the adoption process, they showed me one photo of the birth mother and her parents. I only saw it once, but the mother's name was Annabelle and her mother was listed as Marlin. That woman's name is Marlin Crow." I froze. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure. I didn't say anything earlier because I needed to make absolutely sure I wasn't misremembering." I leaned forward, heart pounding. "So she found us. Somehow, she found Zaya." Chiron rubbed his temples. "The agency told us the placement was closed and sealed. But mistakes happen. records leak. Or maybe someone recognized her through a family connection we didn't know about. Either way, she showed up. What does she want? He shook his head. I don't know, but I need to find out. Later that day, while Zaya was at her piano lesson, Kyron made calls. He contacted the agency, demanded answers, asked for records that had supposedly been sealed. I could hear the edge in his voice from across the hall. No. I'm not threatening legal action yet, but I need to know how that woman knew who my daughter was, and how she got into that party. After he hung up, he turned to me. They don't know anything, he said. At least, that's what they're claiming. They said all identifying documents were secured and sealed at the time of placement. They're denying any breach. Stood there, arms crossed, trying to keep my voice steady. So we're just supposed to wait and hope she doesn't come back. No, he said, we're not waiting. We decided to tell Molly's everything. She had been texting all morning, confused by our sudden departure and asking if everything was okay. I called her and asked her to meet me at a coffee shop down the street from her apartment. She showed up in a hoodie and leggings. No makeup, still glowing from her party the night before. But when she saw my face, the joy dropped away. What's going on? She asked. You just disappeared. I thought something happened with Zaya. I took a breath. Know that older woman at the party, gray hair, standing near the back porch, her brows pulled together. Yeah, I assumed she was one of Mom's church friends. I never got her name. Why? She wasn't invited, I said. She came there for Zaya. She spoke to her. Maylee sat back in her chair, mouth slightly open. What do you mean? Who is she? You think she's Zaya's biological grandmother? Her name is Marlon Crow. Maylee's blinked hard. Are you serious? I nodded. Kyron remembered her from the agency's file. It's her. She sat quiet for a long moment. So, what do you want me to do? Tell me if she said anything to you after we left. Anything at all? She asked about Zaya. Maylee said carefully. She didn't say her name, just said she was a beautiful little girl. She asked if she was my niece. I told her yes. She smiled and said, she looks just like her mother. Then she left. I clenched my jaw. She's already building a story. What are you going to do? Maylee asked. I'm going to protect my daughter. Back at home, Kyron and I sat down and made a plan. We documented everything that happened, every word she said to Zaya, everything she said to us. We started the process of updating the security settings at Zaya's school, informing them of a potential safety issue and providing a photo of Marlon in case she showed up. We called a lawyer. We asked about restraining orders, legal protections, how to keep her away from Zaya if she tried to push for contact. We were told that unless she made a direct threat or attempted to take custody, there wasn't much we could do yet. She hasn't crossed any legal lines, the lawyer said. But you've done the right thing by getting ahead of this. That night, I sat with Zaya in her room while she colored in a new book we had picked up on the way home. Mom, she said suddenly, that lady at the party, she said, remembered me. But I don't remember her. Was she wrong? I looked at her and felt something inside me break and rebuild at the same time. She might have thought she knew you. I said, but sometimes people see what they want to see. Nodded like she understood, even if she didn't fully. She went back to coloring, the pink crayon pressed hard against the page. I closed my eyes and whispered a promise I had made the day. We brought her home. No one gets to rewrite her story, not without going through me first. 3 days passed with no sign of her dot. I watched every car that slowed down near our house. I checked the school's pickup log twice a day. Kyron added a camera to the front porch and started keeping his phone on him during every meeting. We were ready for anything, but nothing came. Until the letter, it arrived in a plain white envelope with no return address. Inside was a single page, handwritten in small, careful script. I didn't recognize the handwriting, but when I saw the name at the bottom, I knew. Marlon Crow Kyron read it before I did. He sat in silence for a long time after finishing it, then slid it across the table to me. .yl. I don't want to disrupt your lives. I didn't come to take anything. Came because I needed to see her once. Just once. I have spent the last 7 years wondering if she was safe, if she was loved. You don't owe me anything, but I'm begging you to let me explain. I lost my daughter Annabelle when she was 20. She died alone. I didn't even know she was pregnant. She had left home, made mistakes, been taken advantage of. I only found out weeks later that a child had been born and placed through a private agency. By the time I got the records, everything had already happened. It took years to find any leads. I never expected to see her again. Then, last week, someone I knew from Annabelle's old town sent me a photo from your sister's engagement party. I don't know how they got it, but I knew the moment I saw that child's face. She has my daughter's eyes. Please, I'm not asking for visitation or custody. I just want to meet you. No lawyers, no drama. Just the truth. Marla and I finished reading and folded the letter slowly. My hands were shaking, but not from fear. From the weight of it all, the rawness, the loss, the unrelenting ache in her words. I had prepared myself for threats, for manipulation. But what I got was grief. Nothing more, nothing less. She lost her daughter, I said. Chiron nodded. And she thinks she's lost her granddaughter, too. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay awake thinking about Zaya, her laughter, her drawings, her love for lullabies and jelly beans. She was happy. She was safe. But somewhere out there was another version of her story. A story written before she ever reached us in the morning. I made a decision. I want to meet her, I told Chiron. He looked up, startled. What? I need to see her face when I tell her who Zaya is to me. I need her to hear it from my mouth. Chiron hesitated. You don't owe her anything. I know, I said. But this isn't about her. It's about Zaya. And if she ever comes looking for answers one day, I want to know I asked the right questions now. We agreed to meet in public, a small cafe outside the city, neutral ground. 1 hour, no contact afterward unless we initiated it. I arrived early. Marlon was already there, seated in the far corner, holding a small photograph between her fingers. She stood when I approached. Her face was thinner than I remembered, her posture a little stiff. But her eyes, those same eyes I had seen in my daughter's face, looked tired, not dangerous. I sat down without smiling. She didn't smile either. Thank you for coming, she said. I came to make something clear, I replied. Zaya is my daughter. Legally, emotionally, entirely. She knows nothing about your family, and unless we decide otherwise, that will remain true. She nodded slowly. I understand. I read your letter, I continued. I'm sorry for your loss, I really am. But showing up at a party and speaking to a child you had no right to approach, that's not how people build trust. She lowered her gaze. I just wanted to see her once. I didn't expect her to look so much like Annabelle. It caught me off guard. I studied her face, looking for deceit, manipulation, guilt. I didn't see any. It's just pain. She's happy. I said, she's safe. She's loved. That's what you wanted to know. Now you do. Marlon nodded. You're a good mother, I can tell. I didn't answer that. I didn't need her approval. I don't want to complicate anything, she said. Softly, I won't try to contact her again. I just wanted to tell someone who remembers Annabelle that she mattered, that her life wasn't just one mistake after another. She reached into her bag and pulled out a sealed envelope. For you, not for her. You can read it or throw it away. It's just everything I wanted someone to know about Annabelle. Okay? You ever, if the time comes? I took the envelope but didn't open it. She won't be meeting you, I said. Not now. Maybe not ever. I know, she said, standing to leave. Thank you for giving me this moment. As she walked away, I felt something loosen inside me. Not forgiveness, not trust, just the tiniest bit of understanding. I drove home with the envelope still unopened in the passenger seat. That night, I watched Zaya sleeping and thought of the woman who had carried her and the woman who had raised her. Both of them were real. but only one of them would be here when she woke up. The next morning, I stood in Zaya's room watching her sleep. Her breathing was soft and steady. Her tiny fingers clutched her stuffed rabbit the way she always did. Light poured through the curtains and landed across her blanket in golden stripes. It was quiet, peaceful, like nothing had ever threatened to touch the world she lived in. And that was what mattered most. I walked downstairs and found Chiron already at the table. He had made coffee, but his hands were wrapped around the mug like he hadn't taken a sip. The envelope Marlon had given me the day before sat in the center of the table. Neither of us had opened it yet. "You sure you want to read it?" he asked. I nodded. If she ever asks me about her past, I want to have something real to give her, not just guesses. Chiron nodded once, then stood and kissed the top of my head. "I'll give you some space." I waited until he left the room before I slid the envelope open. Inside was a thick letter several pages long, written in the same careful handwriting. It told the story of a girl named Annabelle. A girl who had been bright, independent, full of fight, but always searching for something solid to hold on to. Marlon wrote about the night Annabelle came home crying, the months she disappeared, and how no one knew she was pregnant until after she had died. It was raw and detailed, but not cruel, just honest. A portrait of a mother trying to make peace with her child's broken path. There were photos, too. A black and white baby picture. A graduation photo. One of Annabelle holding a guitar, barefoot, in a field, laughing at something off camera. She looked like Zaya, not just the face, but the energy. Free, wild, soft at the edges. I placed the letter and photos in a folder and tucked it in the back of our bedroom closet. Behind the winter, coats and boxes of old toys. If Zaya ever wanted it, it would be there. She never asked. That would be fine too. Her story belonged to her now. Over the next few weeks, life settled again. Zaya started second grade and joined the school's music club. She played her first solo in the winter recital and wore a tiny red blazer she insisted made her look like a real professional. Maylis got married in a small ceremony under the oak tree in our mother's backyard. Zaya was the flower girl. She threw the petals too early and walked too fast, but no one cared. I saw my mom wipe her eyes, and even Chiron cracked a full smile when Zaya danced barefoot in the grass afterward. We didn't see Marlon again. She kept her word. No calls, no letters, no surprise visits. It would have been easy to pretend she never existed, to erase her from the memory of that summer. But I didn't, because something shifted in me that day. I sat across from her. Not trust, not comfort, but a reminder that our stories don't start when we're born into a family. They begin with the people who make the choices that bring us into the world and the ones who choose to stay. Zaya is my daughter. I am her mother. That will never change. But I also know there is a woman out there who gave birth to the girl I now tuck in every night, and a grandmother who searched for years just to be sure she was okay. I don't know if that makes us connected. I don't know if Zaya will grow up and want to know more. Maybe one day she'll ask where she came from. And I'll take out the folder and show her the letter, the photos, the names. Maybe she won't, but if she does, she won't hear it from strangers or whispers or chance encounters at family parties. She'll hear it from me because I was there the day she came home. I was there for every nightmare, every skinned knee, every drawing taped to the fridge, and I'll be there the day she decides she's ready to know more. Until then, I'll protect her story with everything I have. Not because she's fragile, but because she is growing. Because truth doesn't have to be given all at once. Because love is not just what you give, it's what you choose to guard. That's what I learned, that sometimes you become a mother not by giving life, but by protecting it every single day. Asterisk, thank you for listening to my story. I didn't share it because I wanted sympathy. I shared it because I know I'm not the only one trying to protect something precious while carrying the weight of a truth you didn't ask for. If this story touched you, reminded you of someone you love, or made you think a little deeper about what it means to be family. I hope you'll let me know. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and drop a comment below. I read every single one. Your words matter here. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. There are more true, raw, and real stories coming. Stories about family, choices, and the quiet strength it takes to keep going. Thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next one.